Live, local, now. This is WIS News 10.
After a decade of service as the president, because of course he's been there many more years than that, the University of South Carolina President Harris Pastides will retire next summer.
The announcement came at the annual State of the University this morning, and our Caroline Hecker is live from the Horseshoe on USC's campus. Caroline, how are students reacting to this news?
Well, many of the students that I talked to are very sad to hear that announcement, and they hope that whoever replaces Mr. Pastides can live up to their expectations that they now have. They tell me with 35,000 students on campus, it's very easy as a student to kind of feel like you're getting lost in the shuffle or lost in the crowd. But they tell me President Pastides didn't let that happen on his watch. He was known for walking around the Horseshoe, talking with students, and also getting involved in university activities as well as city ones. It's certainly a presence many students here on campus will miss.
At first, I felt heartbroken, and I felt like I was going to cry. I'm like, well, and I've never even met him personally. I follow him on social media, and I think he's just a great influence. He has a great personality, great character, and he just brings so much life into our school.
Now, in our conversations with Pastides earlier today, he did not rule out a potential return to the university in some capacity, whether that be as a professor or something else. But once this school year is complete and he officially retires next summer, he says his sole focus will be on family. Some of his proudest accomplishments in his tenure here is record-setting enrollment numbers across all demographics, new corporate research partnerships with many Fortune 500 companies, as well as a record-setting fundraising campaign. Live in Columbia, Caroline Hecker, WIS News 10.
All right, Caroline, thank you so much. Meanwhile, according to the university, the longest-serving USC president was its first, a man named Jonathan Maxey, who took office in 1804 and died during his 16th year serving as president in 1820.
Well, another day of summer-like temperatures in October as we take a live look over your capital city. Chief Meteorologist Ms. Brown is tracking how long we'll continue to have these great warm temps.
Yes, absolutely. As we take a live look over Orangeburg, and I tell you what, those are just a couple little puffy cumulus clouds, otherwise some serious clouds out there. It's really a delightful afternoon. It's on the warm side, and it will get toasty over the next couple of days. 80s across most of the area. We're at 88 degrees in Orangeburg, but 82 in Bishopville, 88 in Sumter, about 86 degrees in Camden, Winsboro. We're at 82 in Newberry, around 85 in Saluda, 84 in Aiken, and 88 degrees in North, 88 also in Lexington County. Here's a look at the radar and satellite together. We don't hardly have that many clouds in the sky. No rainfall expected as we go through tonight, so overall a pretty dry evening for us. A patchy fog is possible late, so keep that in mind. Temperatures in the upper 60s, low 70s out the door in the morning. Then how about some low 90s for afternoon highs? We're going to let you know how long the 90s will stick around. All the numbers in your first alert 7-day forecast coming up.
Happening today, people will gather to honor a father and his son who were both killed in a weekend shooting. That child would have turned 2 years old today. Richland County deputies say Tyron Williams and his father, James McDowell, were shot inside their home on Beatty Downs Road Sunday afternoon. At 6:45 this evening in that same neighborhood, there's going to be a community prayer for the victims. We have a crew there and we'll have live reports for you on the news at 6 and 7. And in the meantime, investigators want anyone with information on the shooting to call Crime Stoppers at 1-888-CRIME-SC. A Hopkins woman was killed in a wreck overnight in Sumter County. Teresa Hicks died in the crash on I-95 between mile markers 135 and 136. This happened last night around 10 near the exit for US 378. An autopsy was performed today in Newberry. Results, though, have not yet been released.
A different look at problems left behind by Florence. Shrimp boat captains are having a pretty hard time right now. Late September to early October is when shrimping season kicks off typically. Stanley Hall says he and other fellow shrimpers lost 3 weeks of work after Florence, which is about $12,000. Gas prices have also gone up about 15 cents, and they've had to travel a little farther out to find bigger shrimp, putting another strain on them. They do have a word of advice, though, for customers.
Yeah, buy local. It helps a lot of people. It's not just us. I mean, we're at the bottom of the totem pole, but the restaurants, everything local, it helps our local economy.
Hall says shrimping seasons go through January typically, and he is hopeful that he and other captains can make up lost wages. The November election is just over a month away, and candidates for governor of South Carolina are preparing for at least 2 debates before you head to the polls. Both incumbent Governor Henry McMaster and Representative James Smith will participate in debates on October 17th and October 25th. The first debate will be held at Francis Marion University Performing Arts Center in Florence. The second one is scheduled for Greenville Technical College. Well, just in case you didn't think that interest is high in the midterm elections, well, think again. This year's National Voter Registration Day broke the previous record set for new registered voters. More than 800,000 people signed up compared to more than 771,000 in 2016. Here in South Carolina, the registration deadline for midterm elections has since been extended to October 17th.
A bombshell New York Times report lays out elaborate tax schemes it claims the Trump family used over the years to transfer hundreds of millions of dollars to President Trump from his father. The allegations call into question the president's longtime claims he's a self-made billionaire. NBC's Susan McGinnis has more.
The New York Times reports that President Trump engaged in questionable tax schemes and outright fraud in the 1990s. An 18-month investigation finds Trump reportedly received far more money from his father than he has long claimed.
My father gave me a small loan of $1 million.
In fact, the Times says the president received the equivalent of $413 million. The Times describes a pattern of deception and obfuscation, where $1 billion in wealth was transferred from Fred Trump to his children, and that the Trumps dodged a $550 million tax bill that would have been due, paying just $52 million. NBC News has not independently seen or reviewed the thousands of documents on which the Times story is based. The president today calls the article an old, boring, and often told hit piece. And in a statement, his attorney says there was no fraud or tax evasion by anyone, and that the president had virtually no involvement. The Times report raises questions about the president's backstory.
A lot of people voted for him on the idea that he's this smart businessman and that he's going to bring those principles to the White House.
The narrative of Donald Trump as a self-made man was just not true.
State tax investigators are looking into the allegations.
The president would likely not face criminal penalties because the statute of limitations has expired on any possible wrongdoing. Civil fines are possible. In Washington, Susan McGinnis, NBC News.
The New York Times says the IRS did little to question the Trump's tax maneuvers over the years.
Well, we are following some breaking news right now. A deputy's been shot during an active shooter incident that is in progress right now in Florence County. That's according to officials there. A Twitter post saying that, quote, due to a high priority call in Vintage Place off of Hoffmeyer Road in Florence, there's an active shooter incident in progress at this time. We're advising everyone to stay away from that area. We have FCSO along with City PD and other first responders handling this situation. End of quote. Again, that is a tweet. This is an active shooter situation going on in Florence County right now, a situation in which a deputy has been shot. As far as any other details that have come in, we're still awaiting word on the condition of that deputy and waiting to hear exactly how all of this unfolded. Of course, as we get more information, we'll continue to update you on it. Also, make sure that you download the WIS News app because the breaking news updates will come right to your phone. Again, a deputy shot, their condition not known, in an active shooter incident going on in Florence County right now. As soon as we learn more, we'll pass it along to you.
Actually, we do have a little information that just came into us from our sister station, WMBF, saying that the Chief Glenn Kirby of Florence County Sheriff's Office says now 3 sheriff deputies have been shot and 2 police officers shot. So again, 3 sheriff's deputies shot and 2 police officers shot, that coming from Florence County officials. But that just came down like 10 seconds ago, so I don't have any more information on this.
Yeah, certainly this is a rapidly developing situation with details coming in right now. We don't know how all of this unfolded, nor do we know exactly where this took place, except to say that it happened at what is called Vintage Place off of Hoffmeyer Road in Florence, assuming that that is either a strip mall or an apartment complex or maybe some sort of neighborhood there. Police responding to an active shooter situation there. And as we have just heard and just reported, there are several injuries among the first responders to that incident, both deputies as well as police officers.
We'll take a quick break here in a second, but again, just to recap that, 3 sheriff's deputies apparently shot and 2 police officers shot in Florence County. More details as we get them. We're going to take a quick break and be right back.
We continue to follow breaking news right now, an active shooter situation in Florence County. We are following this story. It is 3 sheriff's deputies and 2 officers have been shot in an active shooter situation there. This news just came in moments ago to our newsroom. You're taking a look at a live picture right now of all of the law enforcement on that scene. That is at Vintage Place, which is off of Hoffmeyer Road in Florence. Again, the circumstances surrounding this not quite known. It's somewhat of a fluid situation, as you can see, as the camera kind of roves around, but this looks to be somewhere near a neighborhood there. Police responding to an active shooter, and we have learned that several law enforcement have been shot. And as we're taking a look here, you can see what looks to be like a tactical unit or some sort of tactical response there after this shooting was reported. Again, 5 injuries so far as we know, 3 Florence County sheriff's deputies and 2 police officers from the city of Florence shot during this response.
Yeah, and just to let our viewers know, you're going to see a lot of movement with this camera. Our sister station, WMBF, there is the one operating this camera. I'm hoping, because we are able to be this close and we see the officers there, that hopefully the situation is under control. But again, we're talking about 5 law enforcement officers who have already been shot there. A number of agencies responding at this moment. The chief there, Glenn Kirby, mentioned the numbers just a few moments ago. We do not know the condition of the 3 deputies and the 2 police officers shot. We don't know if they're male or female. All we know is this has been an active shooter situation in this, what we believe to be an area with a lot of homes that you just mentioned, Greg, and this happening, is it called Lucy Davis Elementary School, I believe? Is that right, Marcy, our producer? Lucy T. Davis Elementary is that area, Vintage Place, off Hoffmeyer Road. Again, this is happening in Florence.
And again, this happened just a short time ago, so assuming that school was out at the time, we don't believe that there's any possible effect to any of the kids that were going to school there. We believe that school had dismissed, but yet still, nonetheless, this is an area that is bordered. You can see a neighborhood there and several homes as well. But in terms of who may have done all of this, we don't know if it's a single gunman. We don't know if there are several. We're still waiting for more details from law enforcement there. All we know is that law enforcement had responded to this scene at Vintage Place, where you're taking a live look in that corner. And when officers responded, it was an active shooting situation. 3 deputies and 2 officers were shot, and we don't know much more at this point.
Yeah, so I'm looking just through our sister station's information here. Just moments ago, they said it's still in progress. I think what they're indicating is the situation, obviously, which we see from the video, but whether or not they have the, let's see, more information just came in. Let me get this to you. Yeah, no, so we don't know the status of the shooters and how many were involved or anything like that. All we do know for sure is what we're showing you on the screen right now, is that a number of law enforcement agencies and other first responders are on the scene there near this Lucy T. Davis Elementary School, near a neighborhood off Vintage Place, where the 3 deputies and the 2 police officers have been shot.
I venture to say, you know, with these 5 law enforcement officers that were shot, the law enforcement response was somewhat substantial to begin with. So in terms of how many officers may be there right now trying to contain this situation, we don't know. Whoever may have done this could still be at large in that community right now. Again, not much information coming out right now about who may have done all of this and what the final result is. There could be somebody still, a gunman or gunmen, several people, we don't know. All of that still We're working to get more details at this point. All we know is that several law enforcement who are responding to this.
And Greg, this is very taxing on all the first responders because they already in this area have been dealing with the flooding for the last several weeks. So they're trying to tend to that. They've been working extremely long hours. In fact, some of our first responders from Lexington County had gone up there to spend time and give these guys a break, these men and women who have been working around the clock there, but so many of them exhausted from that and now having to respond to this. We first learned of this when the information came out by way of social media on Twitter, when the law enforcement agency had sent something out, and I'm quoting it, said, due to a high priority call in Vintage Place off Hoffmeyer Road in Florence, there is an active shooter situation. Incident, they said, in progress at this time, and they said we are advising everyone to stay away from this area. We have the Florence County Sheriff's Office along with the City Police Department and other first responders handling this situation. But again, they were asking and continue to ask everyone to stay out of this area. If you know that area near where Lucy T. Davis Elementary School is and near a place of several homes and activity for residents.
And once again, just kind of to speak of the taxing situation for not only law enforcement, but it also speaks to the danger that these members of law enforcement face every single day responding to a situation like this. And in this case, 5 are injured, 3 deputies and 2 police officers. We're awaiting word on their condition. As soon as we learn more, of course, we'll pass it along to you as we continue to follow this breaking news story out of Florence County. We'll be right back after this. We continue to follow breaking news out of Florence County this evening. Multiple law enforcement shot during an active shooter incident in progress right now in Florence County.
Officials are saying to stay away from this area to all those people who are near this. To give you an idea of where this place is, around Vintage Place Road off Hoffmeyer Road in Florence, near a school, an elementary school called Lucy T. Davis School. We have been told that 3 sheriff's deputies have been shot and 2 Florence police officers have been shot. Numerous first responders are on the scene. We're giving you a live look right now near that scene, which is around a neighborhood, a place with a lot of activity. 1 ambulance leaving the scene. We don't know if the active shooter or shooters have been apprehended yet. All of this is developing right now. You're seeing it right as we are.
Ambulance just left that scene, likely transporting some of the injured in this case. We don't know if it's law enforcement only or if there are any other injuries, but at the same time, what we can tell you is that this happened just a short time ago as they were responding. Law enforcement saying that this was an active shooter situation, and we don't know if it has concluded at this point. So still could be a very dangerous scene. Obviously, law enforcement looking to secure that scene. 3 deputies from the Florence County Sheriff's Office, as well as 2 Florence officers, police officers, shot in this active shooter situation.
Emergency Management Services there giving us word just now saying, yes, it's an area that still they want everyone to be kept away for right now. We will continue our coverage of this breaking news shortly. Stay with us for a quick break. I want to take a moment to remind you that happening right now at the McDonald's on Forest Drive in Columbia, that's near I-77, we have teamed up with Harvest Hope Food Bank to take your food donations and monetary donations that will all go to veterans and our military members.
This is happening until 7:30 tonight. We're taking canned goods and non-perishable items as well. Cash donations are also accepted. And of course, we continue to follow breaking news out of Florence County. 5 members of law enforcement, 3 sheriff's deputies with the Florence County Sheriff's Office and 2 officers with the Florence Police Department are shot. Their conditions not known. We'll follow it right after this.